Hi, everyone. My name is Aida Alonso, and I'm here to talk about how to start your own jewelry brand. I want to thank Las Artistas for inviting me and share my knowledge in how to start your own brand. And so let's jump into it. Let me just share my screen really quick. Whoops, there we are. All right, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about how to start your own brand. Um, I'm going to be using my own brand, and as an example, I make contemporary jewelry, but this can, very easily be modified or seen as a starting point, whether you're a fashion designer or a ceramicist or a painter or a multimedia. Um, I hope that this can help you kind of start with your own brand. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me. Like I said, my name is Aida Alonso, and I'm of course based in the border region of Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, and El Paso, Texas. And I am also a conceptual artist. But I also have my contemporary commercial jewelry line, which is kind of the money maker. And so they both kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but still kind of quite separate. It's really a small little business. It's just me. So I do a lot of the photographing. I design the pieces. I hand cut them. I hand sand them. I put together the packaging, and I'm behind the social media, all of the things, which is really something that you need to do when you're first starting your little business, or really doing an identity for your brand. So we're going to be talking about Ay Jewelry and how that came to be and why I decided to start it. So me being a sucker, of course, for a good checklist. Let's start this by our own little checklist for our brand. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the name of your little business or brand, or the logo, whether you want those to go hand in hand or be kind of separate. The next thing we're going to be talking about is a lookbook, or lookbook is just a fancy word for catalog, where you'll have all the products that you want to sell or are going to be selling. Either stylized little photo shoot or just product images. And product images is also on the checklist. And we're going to be talking about those, what they are, and why they are important when one is developing their own brand. We're going to be talking about online presence, which of course we know now how important that is. And it's super helpful because you don't necessarily need a brick and mortar to sell your pieces. You can now do it online. We're going to be also talking about some marketing material, miscellaneous marketing material. So other than your product, what else do you want to kind of put out there to help people realize that you're out there, that you started your brand, that you have your merchandise? So we're going to be talking about what those are and what they can be, whether they fit with your brand. And we are going to be talking about the importance of a newsletter, an email newsletter. And I know this might be a little bit, far in the future, but we're also going to be talking about scouting for potential stockists. I think that's kind of an important one to keep in the back of your mind when you're developing your brand and your business, because this way you kind of don't have to stress too much or feel under pressure that you have to do all of the selling by yourself in an online platform. And last but not least is all of the different online resources that you can use and read on and do some research on how to develop your brand. With no need to reinvent the wheel. A lot of us have already done this, and it's very helpful to kind of see the way that others have done it and their process and why they did it the way that they did it. So let's talk about logo and slash name of your brand. Like I said, I'm talking about jewelry because this is what I know and this is my brand, and which is what I feel most comfortable talking about. Like I said, my name is Aide, and I am from the border area. And something that we use a lot here is ayay. Ayay. So I really wanted to marry my name and the fact that I'm from the border area. So ayayay just kind of seemed like a good fit for me. So it's kind of important to start thinking about the vibe that you want your brand to have or your business. Who is going to be your market base, your market audience? As creatives, I think sometimes we want to put too much on our plates, and sometimes that could be counterproductive. So what I did when I was thinking about the name of my brand and kind of developing the identity of it all, I decided to hire someone, and I decided a creative that I respect a lot, and his name is Juan Arras, and he's based in Ciudad Juarez. And it feels kind of nice to kind of hire someone or work with someone from your community. You're kind of helping each other out. And so he really is the one that developed the brand identity, helped with the name and the packaging and all of these things. But of course, before you do decide to hire someone and start with the brand identity, you have to have something in mind of what it is that you want it to look like. So the way that I started that was in Pinterest. Pinterest is a great platform to get inspired and see a lot of images. And what I did is that I created little folders in my Pinterest account. And so I had one that the title is branding, the other one is typography. And without really thinking too much about it, I just kind of started putting images in these folders of what the things that really stood out for me. And shortly there started to be some similarities. So that's a great way to kind of start realizing what it is that you like. Sometimes I feel like we're so concentrated on the final product that we forget that branding and your logo and the packaging is equally as important. It's a whole package. I think right now it's all about the experience, about ordering something online and getting the packaging, and there's all these reveal videos on social media. So really, if you start seeing everything as a package, I think the stronger your identity will be, and the easier for potential customers to kind of relate everything that you are and your brand is and your business is. And also, by doing this, by starting your folders in either Pinterest or on your laptop's desktop or wherever you want, it'll then be easier to kind of tell the person that you hired or not hired, to get them to understand what it is that you're looking for. So I immediately, when I sent this to Juan, he said, well, I think it's very apparent that you really like this kind of pink/coral color, and you like really minimal, bold lettering. So he started playing around with the shapes of the lettering, and he came up with a font that I use specifically for invoices or for lookbooks, catalogs, thank you cards. So like I said, it's a whole package. And there was a lot of back and forth. It's something that you won't discover immediately. I think you have to make some mistakes and see what it is that you liked. So ayayay with the exclamation point is my logo/name of my brand, and around it is kind of trial and errors of things that worked and didn't work. So of course, if you feel like you're capable and you're comfortable enough to do your own graphic design and your own branding and label, power to you, do it. But for me, it was just a bit much. I couldn't do all of it, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. And it was great. Juan did a really, really good job in discovering and understanding what I wanted in as an identity for my brand. So the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the lookbook, which I said is just a really fancy word for a catalog. So the purpose of a lookbook is so potential customers or buyers or stockists could kind of get an idea of your style and your design. So for a lookbook, you need to create a PDF. You can use Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign, whatever you feel comfortable with. And so this lookbook is meant to contain model shots or stylized product shots. I did my own lookbook because I felt like I couldn't really properly articulate what it is that I was looking for, and I really felt like I wanted to explore that medium. So I developed mine, and I also started off with a mood board. I have another folder in my Pinterest, and I decided that I wanted to use very kind of subtle and floral and cool colors in my lookbook. And you know, the lookbook is to visually introduce the viewer to the style and the mood of your brand and your collection. And your lookbook, you know, is also used by both press and buyers to get a sense of your design before seeing it in person. It's also important to keep in mind that your product, whether that be ceramic cups or vases or clothing, to be kind of the headliner, you know, the focus of attention. You know, that some of my photos are a little stylized, like the one with the earring and the yellow collar. I played around with the composition of colors, but still your eye kind of directly goes to the piece. So that's important to keep in mind. For the lookbook, I organized a photo shoot. I worked with a local photographer, also Paola Martinez, and 3 models from Ciudad Juarez. And the folder that I created on Pinterest, I used a lot of models doing certain poses that I think worked with the vibe, or you know, the style and design that I wanted the whole brand to have. And whenever we were stuck, we kind of resorted to the folder on Pinterest. So of course things don't, you know, go right the first time you do them. There are some lookbook no-nos that I made that I would love to talk to you all about. This is a line, you know, that I did about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I really didn't think too much about it. I just wanted to, you know, get back into making and really try doing my brand and my business. And so I really went a little bit too over the top. I started off with my mood board. I knew kind of what colors I wanted to use, and you know, what I wanted the model to look like, even like her hair, and what I wanted her to wear. But I didn't really, you know, think about how the busy background was going to affect the product. So the product really got lost. You know, I think, for example, this middle photo to the right, left, that middle photo is extremely busy. I'm looking at everything but the earring. So just make sure to kind of really focus on the product. And that's, you know, that's why I decided to work with a local photographer, and she was really good at doing poses. I was there directing. My partner was also there. You know, it really takes a team effort, but we did it here at the house. Sometimes we use natural lighting. You know, sometimes the photographer already has some lighting. So just really think about that. You know, the important you know, that we're documenting is the product itself. So we really have to make sure that that is the focal point of the photos. So lookbook is important, and an online lookbook and also a physical one. And there's, you know, you can, your online lookbook, I know there's a lot of websites that you can upload it. You can either have your own website. I know WordPress is kind of easy to navigate, but you can have them, you know, in your lookbook in isu.com, for example, and just, you know, start thinking about how to make this lookbook accessible to potential customers, for example. So another thing that we're also going to be needing for our lookbook is, you know, our product images. So have photos of your product taken on a neutral or a white background. This type of product image is often used by press, but also helps buyers create mood boards for their buying managers to decide from. So make sure you have two versions of these images, one that is high resolution, which is 300 dpi, and low res, which is 72 dpi. I think, you know, white background is kind of standard and just easy to, you know, digest the image, but you can always use the color background or something with a little bit of texture, like the image that I have in the middle, which with the wooden grain. It really is up to you, but you know what never fails is the white background. And so I also organized that when the photographer came for her to kind of focus on photographing the individual pieces as well. And I know it might seem like a little bit too much. It always does in the beginning, but I promise you it gets easier, and it kind of, you know, starts turning into a habit. And what helped me while doing all of this tedious stuff was that I knew that I would be able to use these photos or these product images later on in my social media, on my Instagram or Facebook, or whether a customer wanted to see a certain product without it being stylized, then I quickly had that, you know, on my phone in a certain folder, and I would just quickly be able to text or email that. So it really helps you kind of develop this package that'll be easier to communicate everything that the customer is kind of asking or needing from your product or from your brand to see if it's right for them. So product images, important. Line sheet is something else, which, you know, it could also work as a type of inventory. So line sheets, it's an essential source of information for any buyer or customer to decide whether or not your products are right for their store or for themselves or for, you know, for their budget. So the line sheet lists all your products in a compact manner. So I have this example by Juk and Nona, and, you know, it's the line sheet serves, you know, its purposes of giving the buyer price and product information. It lists all your pieces with small images, wholesale and retail price per unit. So this would be if you're really looking to sell in a particular store, and also material options. Also, this comes really in handy when somebody messaged me on Instagram and, you know, what other materials do you have, or can you give me the price if you want to do it all white gold or rose gold, and you quickly have that rather than telling them, oh, I'll have a budget, you know, I'll have an answer for you in the next couple of days. And just people really lose interest really quickly, which is understandable. You know, they're swiping all day. So having that ready for them is very useful. Not that I had it ready when I developed my brand, that kind of came later. But like I said, things start getting habitual and easier to do. And so a note, just a side note, is that if you're in the future, when you feel comfortable enough to reach out to a stockist and you want to do it abroad, whether that be, like I said, since I'm in the border, it's important to use Mexican pesos and dollars. Let's say I want to do it in pounds. That's important to have all these different types of currencies in your line sheet. And make sure to keep it up to date because, you know, those different currencies, you know, fluctuate. So another important one is the brand biography or statement. I know Jess Tolbert gave a really good webinar also here in Las Artistas platform about how to write your own statement or brand. So if you haven't yet, go check out her webinar, and that'll give you a good starting point and what it is that you need in order to start thinking about it. But this, you know, this helps for when you're sending things out to press. Say you want something in the newspaper, a certain magazine, or for a blogger. You know, this is a very fast-paced environment, so a lot of the times they really don't have time to come up or write something on their own. So if they have something that they can literally just copy paste, that's better for them. And like I said, most press will rarely have time to write up in-depth features on new brands, and it is therefore important for you to provide them with a minimum of 1 to 2 paragraphs of, you know, a sales pitch, which they can either use straight off or write their own text upon. So what I like is I have a kind of 1 paragraph short reduced version, and then I have a longer one just in case if they want to do you know, a particular piece on your brand. I wrote mine, but like I said, if you don't feel comfortable writing it, really don't hesitate to kind of reach out to your copywriter friend or a friend that likes writing, and I'm sure, you know, they can help you out. There's no real need to try and do everything ourselves. Like I said, it can really, you know, be counterproductive. A really good place where you can have a link in the bottom where you can research the inner workings of copywriting for marketing. If you have a chance, you should check it out. And you can really start getting a sense of you know, what you want your brand to be about. What is special about your brand? What would make me want to buy something from your brand? What would make me want to go into your Instagram and see what's up? So check out Jess's webinar for sure. Another really important thing, I think it's now very obvious about online presence. You know, a lot of the times, most press or retail professionals will research brands online before responding to any requests. So make sure you are visible online, either with a simple web page or blog to showcase your work and activities. And, you know, your activities can be a pop-up or press coverage or upcoming events. And, you know, setting up an online store can be a great way to showcase your individual products in depth. I know Paulina Rosas also gave a really good and informative webinar on, you know, here in Las Artistas webinar series on how to do that. Definitely check it out. And like I said, take it a step at a time. I know, like, it can be a lot, but all of these things are necessary to get your products out there. I know, you know, there's different websites that you can use, not just so much social media like Instagram and Facebook, but also Shopify, for example, is where I have my online store. I know Paulina has it in Square, but you know, like I said, your lookbook on Isu, just make sure you have like a strong presence. And this is when, you know, all of these images you took for your lookbook and your product images really come in handy, because now you kind of have, you know, a stock of images that you can use. What I like to do is kind of curate my Instagram feed, so I know kind of what color of image I want to post next. And, you know, having that stock that I used for my lookbook is really great. I also ask my customers to take a photo, or they, you know, they send me photos, or, you know, of a cute little picture of the piece behind like a nice background, and I often use those. What has also really helped me with online presence is collaborations. Collaborating with fashion designers and just really reaching out to people that has given us both like a bigger online presence, and I've gotten some customers and some new friends out of it. So really think about collaborating with people, not just in your medium, but kind of go further from there. This way you can both share your customer base. So collaborations have really helped with online presence for me. So for miscellaneous marketing material, so that's basically any other product or any other material that you want that besides your product. I honestly only have my business card and a little thank you card that I include, a personalized thank you card that I include with each product. You know, but you can have flyers, postcards, to send out cards to, your customers. I think people really like supporting small businesses because it's the one-on-one treatment is very different and very intimate. So kind of really take advantage of that and try to have a relationship with your customers. And you never know when you need to give out a card or send a thank you note to a blogger or stylist. So just having that in mind, that you might need it further on in the future, that's helpful. But say, for example, if you're an illustrator, you can think about maybe giving away stickers with every purchase, or if you're a painter, a sticker might work too. Or you can sell postcards if you're a photographer, for example. So just think about all this marketing material that's going to help spread the word that, hey, I started my own brand. Come check it out. I have some cool stuff that you might like. An email newsletter. So I personally don't have an email newsletter, but I feel it's important to talk about and keep in mind. So I think a newsletter is a really cool way to stay in contact with existing customers without being annoying. So even if someone isn't interested in your designs this season, it's likely they will be interested in future collections. So this is a great way, to keep in touch. And a website that has already templates for this is MailChimp, and it's free. I think it's free for like the first certain number of contacts, but that's it's super easy to use too. So that's something that you might need to or want to start thinking about when you're starting your own brand. I know that for Square, and when you're doing a little pop-up or something, when they pay with a credit card, I think it gives you the option of them writing down their website. So definitely keep that in mind. Also, there is a particular jeweler that I really like her newsletter because she not only talks about her products, but about different topics that kind of pertain to this vibe that she's giving her brand. For example, she just, like I said, she's a jeweler, but her jewelry is very much connected with astronomy and cleansing of the self and things. So she also does little readings, and the moon is full, and how it's just she just talks about other topics that not it's just about her products, which kind of makes me want to open it, just because I'm interested in those topics. So that's kind of an interesting idea, I think, doing a newsletter, not only for your product, but another topic that kind of relates to. So scouting for potential stockists. I know I said that this is kind of way along the road for when you're thinking about doing your own brand, but also important to keep in mind. So do your homework first, for sure. The way that I do this homework is Instagram. So I follow a lot of jewelers, contemporary jewelers, commercial jewelers that I think their work is similar to mine. And I try to be current and keep, check out their feed, or, when they pop up in mine, to see if they're selling in a new store. And I then write that store down in an app that I have that's called Trello. So it's a really cool app. If you don't know about it, check it out. It's really life-changing. So you can either do that, or you can, you know, start by creating a spreadsheet where you can update and store buyer information and note all of your responses. So you can have, for example, store, city, the products maybe that they sell, you know, like minimal, squiggly, or ceramics, and maybe like a price range, and whether or not you've reached out to them, who you need to reach out to, and you know, it will also help you remember if they were interested and which pieces they liked, and so on. And I included this image below, which is really helpful, what to say to a retail buyer and what exact words to use. So I know it's super geeky, but I think it's important if you kind of have notes written down before you call them. And of course, research where your competitors and peers are stocked, because this will give you an idea of which stores wish to sell products similar to yours. Like I said, this is down the line, but I think it's an important thing to keep in mind for your brand to reach other audiences. I mean, when we're starting our brand, I think we start with family and friends and local audience, because this is where we are, because it's easier. And then you potentially want to reach out to other cities, other states, and hopefully other countries. And this way, you know, I think, like I said, you know, the pressure of you selling everything yourself can maybe be counterproductive in the creative process, because you're not thinking about the design of your next product. You're thinking about, I need to make a certain amount of money for this brand to survive. So once you have stockists and once you're selling in other stores, they can buy wholesale from you, and you know you'll have that money, like assurance of money coming in to your bank, which is always good. So that's just really something that I encourage, and for you to think about, whether that be stockists, whether that be different galleries. Just have your Excel sheet or in a Word document, whatever is easier for you. You know, just keep an inventory of where you would like to sell things. And also, this is where your lookbook also comes into play, because you can now print this lookbook and maybe, you know, mail it to certain stores. I think this way it'll be easier for them to remember you and kind of jump out, because don't forget, you know, there's probably loads of other designers that also want to get into this particular store. So mailing a physical lookbook is always a good thing, you know, to stand out from the crowd. So one of the best ways of, you know, to get the information you need is calling the stores you're interested in and literally just asking for the buyer's email address or contact information. And like I said before, I know super geeky, but have clear notes and rehearse before calling. I think it's important to seem professional and you know, speak clearly of what you want and who you want to talk to. You know, this way it'll be easier for them. Like, you know what, it seems like this person is really put together. I'm going to give them the information of our stockists. So like I said, know who you need to talk to and make clear notes of what you would like to talk to them about. And every time you come in, you know, contact or across a store that you like, or you think your products would look well there, write it down on your notes on your phone or a little notebook that you carry, and add it to your Excel sheet. And when you have time, add more details as you go along, whether you contacted them, how long you contacted them. And if you do decide to mail a physical lookbook, write down when you mailed it and wait about 2 to 3 weeks, and then follow up and ask them if they got it, what they think, and just write everything down. Don't rely on your memory or mind. You know, it'll really take energy from what is important, which is the quality of your design and, you know, really getting your brand out there. So yes, so really think about stockists and that if if it works for your brand. I really recommend it. So here are some online resources that that can help for different aspects and branches of your brand building. So this first one, Inc.com, there's a bunch of articles for people running small/medium businesses. So that's just a really interesting website to kind of just rummage through. And then there's Mode M Online, which is more kind of curated for fashion designers or jewelry. There's fashion week schedules there and listings of showrooms and more. And like I said, just add it to your Excel sheet that you started, hopefully, and notes, and maybe you can contact them for when next fashion week is and whether your products would be right for them. The next one is ft.com, and that's international news on both industry and politics. So just to keep up, I think it's important to keep up with all of the different new products in the industry. So that's another good one to check out. Bplans is a really cool one because it offers, business plan templates. And like I said, there's really no need to recreate the wheel. There's a lot of people that already done this successfully. So I think it's important to research and investigate the way that they did it, what worked for them, what didn't. And I'm always happy to answer any questions. I've had my faux pas more than once, and I'm super down to talk about that. I think sometimes a certain brand or a certain person or something just looks like they really got everything together, and we really don't. We're, like I said, fake it till you make it, and the more you do it, the more comfortable and more habitual things will get that you need to do in order for your brand to be successful. Another website is 7-zip.org. So like I said, it's important to have things accessible online, and it's important to have these zip, with maybe your brand statement, product photos, lookbook, just have everything kind of condensed, and it'll be easier to send out. That's a great website to do that. Another one is Startup Nation, and basically everything you need to know on how to start your own business is there. So that's a super informative website that's been very helpful for me. Theselfemployed.com, of course, another one that has relevant articles and podcasts and blogs and videos of people that are self-employed. And Wordstream.com, that's a good platform to have to organize all of your social media. Instagram, Facebook, if Twitter works for you, then that could be there, and you can kind of schedule when posts want to go up. You can have everything written. So what really helps is kind of maybe do it at the beginning of the week. This way you don't have it in the back of your mind like, oh, I haven't posted anything in a week or in a couple days. So if you have that kind of if you do that one day, you can have that out of your mind. And like I said, focus on maybe more pertinent things. Another website is wordstream.com. Just kidding. I just talked about that one. The last one is the Inspiration Grid. So that's basically an Instagram for brand identity inspiration. So if you don't know where to start, what you want your brand to look like, that's just a great website to look at all the different brands that there are. So I suggest you check that one out for sure. And I just want to tell you to be prepared and be professional, make your information accessible and informative, direct, make sure the necessary documents are accessible online, whether that be, in a blog or, like I said, WordPress or Instagram, Facebook, or have a link ready, like an online storage like Dropbox or a quick WeTransfer, something similar, just so it's easy for you to share your information with your customers. If it's difficult for your customers to find your products, the less sales you're going to get. So the easier you make it for them, the better. And that's pretty much it. I hope the webinar was informative and you learned at least a thing or two. And always, you know, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to direct message me either on my Instagram at III Jewelry or through Facebook, or my email. I'm always down to answer any questions or give you feedback if that's what you want. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Las Artistas for really organizing this amazing set of webinars. I was in a couple of them. Actually, I'm not great at photography, so Jorge Calleja's webinar on how to take your own photos were really helpful for me. So thank you for tuning in, and have a good trip with your brand identity.